CNN recently hosted a town hall for John Hickenlooper, and they asked him a really awkward question. But his answer was so cringy, guys. Like, he took cringe to a totally new level. So I want to show you guys this video, and then we'll talk about it. Take a look.
We've been looking at your memoir, and you have a lot of interesting stories in that book. One of them is about the time you went to see an X-rated movie with your mother. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much for that question.
Anytime.
I thought it was better to write a book to let people really see who you were and the dumb things you did as well as the smart things.
And where is that on the spectrum?
On the dumb side.
Okay.
I was the youngest of four, and as I said, my dad died right after I turned 8, and my mother and I had a pretty tempestuous relationship. She was just the most amazing person. And I went off to college, and for the first time, she was alone in the house. And I didn't realize how powerful that was until I got home at Thanksgiving. And I promised, I called a friend in Philadelphia, and these were I didn't know what an X movie was. We thought it was a little naughty, but we didn't think it was that bad. Again, you got to understand, I was 18 years old. And so I came home, and my mother hated to cook. I mean, she was just a strong, powerful woman who got stuff done in her own right. And I got home, and she had this huge dinner laid out. And I said, oh, I promised Jed that we would go to the movie theater and see this new movie. You want to come? And it's an X movie. I don't know. I was sure that she wouldn't say no. I made a mistake. And she said, I'd love to go, because she didn't want to be left alone in the house again.
It was a pretty famous movie, too.
So I took my mother to see Deep Throat. And to her credit, the first scene is... I didn't ask the question. But I will tell you that my mother was... I'm sure she was mortified, and I said repeatedly, I think we should leave, I think we should go. And my mother was the kind of person that rarely went to a movie. She thought almost every movie would get on TV. Obviously not this one. But she really, once she paid, she was going to stay. And at the end, she knew that I was humiliated. And as we drove home, and you know how the dashboard in the old cars had that kind of green light? And I asked her, I said, well, that was some experience. And she says, well, I thought the lighting was very good in the movie.
Oh, no, jeez, man. Yikes, that's so cringy, guys. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't undo that. Please call for help. This is so bad. I've seen a lot of stuff in politics. I've seen a lot of cringy things, but this guy just took cringe to a whole new level. I have never seen anything like this. Where do I start? So first off, his story is so full of crap. His story doesn't add up. I literally have like 10 reasons, 10 plot holes in his story that don't add up. Oh my gosh. What is this guy doing? This guy's so stupid. This is the dumbest politician I've ever seen. This guy is running for president. He's running for president as a registered Democrat. He's running for president. Oh, yikes, guys. Like, when I saw, for the Hollywood tapes from Trump, I was like, wow, that's really gross, right? And people still voted for Trump. No, this actually breaks it to a whole new level. I'm sorry. Like, I know many people might like say like, no, they're both about the same. No, because the story is not the way you think it is. He didn't tell the truth. He totally lied. Now, first off, I want to address the framing of the question. This was CNN's first question. I have never seen someone's campaign go into the trash so fast. Like, CNN literally took John Hickenlooper, whatever his name is, and threw him in the trash, right? So fast. He is an establishment Democrat, guys. Understand this. He is an establishment Democrat, and CNN just mopped the floor. She literally just said, we read your memoir and said that you watched an X-rated movie with your mom. You have the floor. And then she just left the discussion, and she literally does this the whole time. She's just like, oh, gosh. Because it's gold. That was like, my goodness, that was entertainment TMZ style gold. Wow. So I know a lot of people might ask, or might say, why would you ask such a ridiculous non-policy question? Like, Americans don't care about policy, or Americans care about policy. They don't care about something that happened when you were like 18 years old. I would give you credit for that comment, but here's the thing. He wrote a book about it. Who does that? Who freaking does that? Who says, you know what? I had this weird thing with my mom when I was like 18. I need to write about it. Like, this guy needs therapy. Like, he needs help. I'm serious. This is like really bad. But he writes a book about it. What are you doing? You're running for president when you wrote a book. Just recently, very recently, he wrote a book about himself going to an X-rated movie. And like, his defense was like, well, listen, we got to share our bad sides, right? Like, we got to be real. No. Like, I agree with that. But that's one of those real things that I would say, I don't want that as my president. That's kind of uncomfortable. Like, we already have that. His name is Donald Trump. We already have this really cringy president who did this really awkward thing with the Hollywood tapes and everything. But this is just, I want to go through this story. Because it doesn't make any sense. There's tons of plot holes. So first off, if someone asks me a question, let's build a hypothetical. Not saying I've done something like this, anything like that. We've all done things that are bad. Not this bad. If you have, don't write a book about it. But let's assume for a second, hypothetically speaking, which is a very strange hypothetical, let's hypothetically assume or develop a scenario where you had this moment with your mom. If you're asked that question, are you really going to give all the details for 2 minutes? Like, my response would be, listen, this is something that happened when I was like 18, I wouldn't have written about it, so I wouldn't have to say like, oh yeah, I wrote a book about it, but I would say, listen, these are rumors and this happened when I was 18 or something like that. I don't want to talk about it. It's not relevant to what Americans care about, right? That would be my response, because Americans care about policy. But wow. He gave this a 2-minute detailed response and decided to add a bunch of plot holes to make this even cringier. Let's go through what he did. I'm going to go through all of these plot holes, and then we're going to watch the video together because I need you to watch it a second time so that you understand like how cringy this video is. Like, you watch it the first time, you get this like raw cringe. You watch it a second time, understanding really what's going on, and you're like, oh, right? You're going to be in a hospital bed in like 10 minutes. Get ready. Quote, let's start right from the beginning. I didn't know what an X-rated movie was. I knew it was naughty, but I'm sorry, hold on. But I didn't know it would be that bad. You gotta understand, I was 18 years old. Oh my gosh. That is the worst argument I've ever seen. Like, if he had ended that with, you gotta understand I was like 5, I'd be like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, that kind of stuff happens. I understand. Or like, I was like 7. But when you say, like, you gotta understand I was 18, no one understands you. No one understands that. It's an X-rated movie. The name of the movie is called Deep Throat. You don't know. You're 18. You don't know. You don't know. Well, then you shouldn't be the president of the United States. I'm sorry. That's not true. He knew. He 100% knew. And get this. It was Thanksgiving. Like, there are a lot of details to this that are easy to gloss over. It's Thanksgiving, right? What do you do on Thanksgiving? It's like 50 years ago. What do you do on Thanksgiving? You go to your family. You have a family get-together, right? With your mom or whatever. And you eat dinner. And he even said, like, she prepared this, like, really, really big dinner. And then he's like, but Mom, I had this thing with my friends. Who does that? First off, shame on you for setting up plans on Thanksgiving when your mom makes you a nice dinner. But he was dumb enough to ask his mom, hey, you want to come with? What? Like, every single thing adds to the story. I'm just like, huh? Like, every single time, it's just like, what? She had made dinner, guys. And then, like, when he said, like, the name of the movie, which was Deep Throat, everyone was just like, oh. And I was just like, oh my gosh. He did not just say that on live TV. He responded with, quote, listen, I didn't ask the question. You're blaming this on CNN? Are you serious? You're blaming your terrible response on CNN for asking the question? No, CNN deserves they deserve like a Grammy, a Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, like they deserve like every award imaginable for doing this. Bravo, CNN. You know, thank you for asking the question. Sean Hickenlooper, it's your fault you're answering it with such detail. Then he says, when she was in the movie, when his mom was in the movie, he said, once she paid, she was gonna stay. Wow. What kind of moral system does your mom have, right? Like, you go to a movie and it's bad, right? It's X-rated. Maybe let's give to the benefit of the doubt, which John Hickenlooper is claiming she didn't know or whatever, right? You see this. This is what you do as a mom, right? This is what a mom would do. Hey, son, we should leave. We should probably leave. This is really inappropriate. Let's go, right? Within a minute, that should happen. That conversation should happen. And if your son says, you know, oh, I want to see this with my friends, you know, excuse me, Mom, right? You go like, okay, well, I'm leaving. Bye. You don't say, well, I mean, I did pay. And movies were like a quarter back then. They weren't expensive like they are now. She's like, oh, I paid. So I gotta finish the movie. It's gonna be on TV, right? It's got good lighting. And then she says, quote, I thought the lighting was very good. If I was the CNN host here, my follow-up question would be easy. Good for what? The lighting was good for what? Tell me, what did your mom enjoy the lighting for? What was it good for? It was very good. Good for what? Wow. Like, you need to take a shower, wash your hands. I'm going to show you guys this one more time. Just go through it, please, because understand that the first time is raw cringe. The second time is even more powerful. You watch it again, and you're just like, I'm not actually listening to this. This isn't real. I can't believe this is happening. Take a look. Here we go.
Your memoir, and you have a lot of interesting stories in that book. One of them is about the time you went to see an X-rated movie with your mother.
He knows what's coming. His face just... His face, the second that happened, like, this is the beginning of the CNN town hall. The second he hears that, he's like, red face. He's like, no, my career. Pro tip. Just any of you guys, I know I get like thousands of views on these videos now, which is awesome, by the way. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. if any of you guys want to ever run for president, do me a favor, okay? Don't write a book about watching an X-rated movie with your mom. I don't know, maybe you won't run into this scenario.
Have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much for that question.
Anytime.
I thought it was better to write a book to let people really see who you were and the dumb things you did as well as the smart things.
And where is that on the spectrum?
On the dumb side.
Okay.
He hesitated.
I said my dad died right after I turned 8, and my mother and I had a pretty tempestuous relationship. She was just the most amazing person. And I went off to college, and for the first time, she was alone in the house. And I didn't realize how powerful that was until I got home at Thanksgiving. And I promised, I called a friend in Philadelphia. And these were, I didn't know what an X movie was. We thought it was a little naughty, but we didn't think it was that bad. Again, you got to understand, I was 18 years old. And so I came home. My mother hated to cook. I mean, she was just a strong, powerful woman who got stuff done in her own right. And I got home, and she had this huge dinner laid out. And I said, I promised Jed that we would go to the movie theater and see this new movie.
Keep digging.
You want to come? And it's an X movie. I don't know. I was sure that she wouldn't say no. I made a mistake. And she said, I'd love to go, because she didn't want to be left alone in the house again.
It was a pretty famous movie, too.
So I took my mother to see Deep Throat. And to her credit.
First off, I want to pause. I want you to see the reaction on these people's faces, right? CNN's emphasizing this guy, right? Because he's smiling. This guy is just like faces down. He's just like. This is the first, keep in mind, this is the first question, right? This is the first question. And this is an audience member just looking down. He's like dying, guys. Someone needs to go in there and like, hey, dude, you all right? This girl's just like, this guy is just like, are you serious? Are you freaking serious? This guy's having a good time. Her mouth. She's just like, and her face. Oh my gosh, it's gold. I would love to see the rest.
The first scene is. I didn't ask the question.
Oh my gosh.
But I will tell you that my mother was. I'm sure she was mortified, and I said.
First off, by the way, it's just every time I watch this, there's like 5 things I need to add to my list that it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. I'm sure she was mortified. What do you mean you're sure? Like, he's like convincing himself almost. Like, no, you say she was mortified, or I don't know if she was, if you say I don't know if she was mortified, it wasn't obvious. Why isn't it obvious that your mom's not mortified, or that your mom's mortified? Like, why is that not obvious?
Repeatedly, I think we should leave. I think we should go. And my mother was the kind of person that rarely went to a movie. She thought almost every movie would get on TV. Obviously not this one. But she really, once she paid, she was going to stay. And at the end, she knew that I was humiliated. And as we drove home, and you know how the dashboard in the old cars had that kind of green light? And I asked her, I said, well, that was some experience. And she says, well, I thought the lighting was very good in the movie.
Wow. So, take a shower, wash your hands, puke a little. We're all dead inside now. Utopia for Realists really should be the first book you read if you want to know more about progressive policies. To get your free audiobook, go to the description below and click on the link to sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.